Solving quadratic equations by factoring. For example, x squared equals negative 5x. So we're going to go through the steps and solve this equation. This is a quadratic equation because we have an x squared in it. So first, move all terms to one side of the equal sign with 0 on the other. This becomes x squared plus 5x equals 0. Next, factor the non-zero side. So the left-hand side we can factor, and there's a greatest common factor, an x, so we pull it out. X squared divided by x gives us our x in the parentheses. 5x divided by x gives us our 5. So it factors to x times x plus 5. It's still equal to 0. Then use the zero product property, and we do that by setting each term equal to 0. So or each factor equal to 0. So either x can equal 0 or the x plus 5 can equal 0. Next, solve each of those equations. Well, the first one's solved. We know that x is 0. The other one, we need to subtract 5 from both sides, and we get x is negative 5. So we have the two answers, x equals 0 or x equals negative 5. Remember, you can always check your solutions by substituting them into the original equations. So for example, if I check the first one, does 0 squared equal negative 5 times 0? Well, 0 equals 0, so yes, it checks out. Does negative 5 squared equal negative 5 times negative 5? 25 equals 25, so yes, the second one checks out as well. Now, so therefore, we could say that our solutions are 0 or negative 5. You might be tempted, however, I'm going to show you a different way of what you might be tempted to do, but please don't do it. If you had x squared equals negative 5x, you might have been tempted to divide both sides by x, like this. And then you would only be left with one solution, x equals negative 5. So you would lose one of the solutions, the solution that x is 0. So please don't do this. It's always, always, always better to not divide by an x, but rather to factor it. Move everything to one side and factor it. Mathematically, well, we just saw that x could equal 0. And if you're dividing both sides by x, then it's like you have 0 in the denominator of a fraction. Can't do that. So just move everything to one side and factor it. Let's look at a second example. X squared equals 5x minus 6. Okay, remember, first step is to move everything to one side with 0 on the other. So I subtract 5x from both sides, I add 6 to both sides, and I get x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Now let's factor the left-hand side. Put my two parentheses down, it still equals 0. I fill in my x's. I look for factors of positive 6 that add up to negative 5. So positive 1, positive 6, negative 1, negative 6. Positive 2, positive 3, negative 2, negative 3. And this last pair is what I need because they multiply to positive 6 but add up to negative 5. So let's fill in my parentheses with the minus 2 and minus 3. And now I'm going to use the zero product property and set each of those factors equal to 0. So either x minus 2 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. Solve each of these simple equations. So add 2, x is 2, add 3, or x equals 3. So therefore, x equals 2 or 3.